Hello and welcome to another exciting episode. Today we are going to talk about triangles. Specifically, we are going to talk about congruent triangles. As you can see here, these two triangles don't look exactly the same. But sometimes triangles get rotated or transformed, or lots of different things can happen to triangles. So for instance, if I were to rotate this triangle, rotate until it looks almost in the same position as the triangle KLM over there, you could see if I were to move it over and put it on top, they look almost exactly the same. Now, if we were to look at these two triangles, we would see that angle F here has 1, 2, 3 little angle marks, and angle K has 1, 2, 3 little angle marks as well. So we know that angle K is going to be congruent to angle F because they both have 3 little angle marks, whereas L is going to be congruent to D because they both have 1 little angle mark. So angle L is going to be congruent to angle D because they both have 1 little angle mark. Okay? So you can see that even though I moved the triangle around, you could see that it might look the same, but actually angle M is congruent to angle E. So actually this one up here, the E is congruent to the one on the bottom, angle M. We'd have to totally flip the triangle. Let me do that for you really fast just so you can see it in real time. If I were to get a hold of this, I would have to flip the triangle. I would go to flip in the y-axis. So now I flipped it, and now I move it back around. And you can see it still looks like the same triangle, except this time you have the 1 up here and the 2 down here. So now they really are the exact same triangle in the exact same position. But you're not always going to have this fancy smanchy software to be able to do it for you. So let's look at another example here where we don't have the fancy schmancy software. In this case, we have to look at the one with the three angle marks here. Here is 1, 2, 3 angle marks over there, and that's with the angle X. So we would write that angle X, since it has the 3 tick marks, is also equal right here to the one with 3 tick marks on the other triangle. It's going to be equal to angle I. And we can see over here that angle Y has 1 little angle mark, so we'll say that angle Y is going to be congruent to the one with the 1 angle mark on the other one, which is going to be angle K. Lastly, we have the angle Z, and it's going to be congruent to the one with 1, 2 over here, and there's 1, 2 over here. It's going to be congruent to the one on angle J. So you can see there are very specific relationships between the angles of two triangles, and you have to really look at the tick marks to be able to figure them out. And you also can make relationships between the line segments. You could say, for instance, that X to Y, the line segment X to Y, which is XY starts here. Oh, let me do a different color so that's easier to see here. X starts right here, and it ends, I'm going to do it in blue, at the Y. It starts off at the 3 tick mark. Here's 1, 2, 3 at the 3, and travels down the one with the 3 tick marks on the line to the Y over here. Now we have to figure out which angle is which line is congruent to to the line segment XY, which one is congruent to it. So again, we have to start at the one with 3 tick marks on the other triangle. So here's the one with 3 tick marks on the other triangle. It is the I, and you have to travel down on the one. See, we traveled down on the one with 3 tick marks. We can't travel down on the one with 1 tick mark over here because we didn't travel to Z, we traveled to Y. All of it has to be exactly the same. So since we started off at I, we have to end at the same place. We have to go down the one with the line with 3 tick marks on it. So here's the line with 3 tick marks on it, and go down to K. And so it's going to end at K, I, K. Now, you can't write it like this. You cannot XY, you cannot write it as KI because that you're starting at the red and going to the blue, X to Y. Over here, if you say K to I, you're starting at the blue and going to the red. They are opposites. You can only write it in this format, and you'll see why in a second when we talk about the triangles. So let me clear all the annotations, and let's look at this problem again. So let's say this triangle is named A, B, C, and this triangle is named D, E, F. Now we want to name the whole point of this episode is to figure out how to write triangle congruence statements. So for instance, let's say we want to find the triangle that's congruent to triangle A, B, C is congruent to which other triangle? Congruent to A, B, C. And the way we do this is we label each part. So the A is the angle with 3 angle lines on it. So we have to find the one over here that has 3 angle lines as well, and that is the D. So the D goes first. And we go from A, and then we travel to B. When we go from A to B, we are traveling from the one with 3 angle lines to the one with 1 angle line. So the same thing over here, we have to travel to the one with 3 angle lines to the one with 1 angle line, and that is F. So we know that F is next, and the only letter left is E. This is the only correct triangle congruence statement. So for instance, you could not say, this would be a bad example. If you could say that ABC is congruent to EFD, but this is not true because you have to, if you start off at the red over here, you have to start at the red over here and go down to the one with 1. It has to be D, F to E. There's no other way to write a triangle congruence statement. So for instance, if you see a question like this, let's do it. Let's say you have triangle I, J, K. So we have to label it now. We started off with I, and I has 3 angle lines. So we have to find the one with 3 angle lines over here, and that is L. So we know that it's going to be L first. And then we have to look to this, where did it go next? It went from I to J. J has 2 angle marks and traveled on the line with 2 ticks. So we have to find the line with 2 ticks and then travel down to the one with 2 angles. So that's right there. And that one is going to be M, N. And this is the way to write triangle congruence statements. Now, if you have a test on it like this question says, which triangle congruence statement correctly describes the relationship between the 2 triangles in the picture? So in this case, we label them. It's easy if you label them. There is a B, and the one that goes with B is F, because they both have two angle lines on their line. And then we label the other ones as well. So let's use black. So the E only has 1 line, only 1 angle line, and the one that has 1 angle line over here is the A. So we know that the E goes with the A. And lastly, over here, we know that the only 2 left are the C and the D. So all we have to do now is look at the first letter of each one. So let's look at the first letter of each one. This one starts off with C at the beginning, and this one starts off with E at the beginning. And we look here, we see that C is green and E is black, so we know it's not that one. The next one starts off with a B and an F. B and F are both red, so this could be a possible answer. So it goes from B to C. So B is red and C is green. And on this one, it goes from F to E. F is red and D is green. So it also goes from red to green. So we know as a result that this one has to be the correct answer. So again, it's very important that you label your points. Using color can be very helpful. It's easy to see, but if you don't want to use color, there are other ways to do it, but you really have to make sure that you are very, very careful when labeling triangle congruence statements.